Chapter 1: The Village's Curse. Nestled between the foreboding shadows of the ancient forest, the isolated village of Elmsworth seemed to bear the weight of 1,000 secrets. As twilight descended upon the somber town, whispers of unease and suspicion traveled between its inhabitants, carried by the chill wind that swept through the narrow, cobblestone streets. The village, once vibrant and full of life, now lay shrouded in a veil of darkness. A series of inexplicable and gruesome deaths had plagued Elmsworth, leaving the residents in a constant state of dread. The victims had been found with expressions of sheer terror etched upon their lifeless faces, their cold, lifeless bodies bearing no signs of struggle or injury. The only common thread connecting the deaths was the inexplicable mark, a strange, twisted symbol, found at the scene of each tragedy. In the heart of the village, the soft glow of candlelight flickered through the windows of the modest schoolhouse. Elizabeth Walker, a young, intelligent woman of 28, sat at her desk, poring over the yellowed pages of an old, dusty tome. As the village's schoolteacher, she had dedicated her life to the pursuit of knowledge, inspiring her students with the power of education. But now, she was haunted by the chilling mystery unfolding in her once peaceful home. Elizabeth's warm, hazel eyes scanned the ancient text, searching for any clues that could shed light on the horrifying events that had befallen Elmsworth. With every passing day, her determination to unravel the enigma grew stronger, fueled by her love for her family, friends, and the village that had raised her. She refused to stand idly by while the invisible menace preyed upon the very heart of her community. As the clock struck midnight, Elizabeth shivered, pulling her shawl tighter around her slender frame. The air in the schoolhouse was thick with tension, as if the building itself held its breath, anticipating the horrors that lurked in the shadows. Determined to protect her loved ones and restore peace to Elmsworth, she resolved to delve deeper into the darkness, her courage and conviction her only armor against the unseen terror that stalked her village. Chapter 2: A Sinister Arrival. The sun rose hesitantly over the village of Elmsworth, casting long, eerie shadows across the cobblestone streets. A palpable sense of anxiety hung in the air, as the villagers cautiously went about their daily routines, all too aware of the invisible threat lurking among them. It was on one such morning that a new figure emerged from the edge of the forest, drawing the wary eyes of the villagers. Victor Blackwood, a tall, enigmatic man with an air of quiet authority, strode confidently into Elmsworth. The silver streaks in his dark hair hinted at the wisdom and experience of a life well lived, while his piercing blue eyes seemed to hold the power to see through the very souls of those they beheld. Word quickly spread through the village that a new doctor had arrived in Elmsworth. As the villagers gathered around him, hope began to flicker in their hearts. Could this mysterious stranger be the answer to their prayers, the key to lifting the curse that had befallen their home? Victor's voice was smooth and reassuring, a balm to the villagers' frayed nerves. He spoke of his extensive medical knowledge and his desire to serve the community, eliciting murmurs of gratitude and admiration. It seemed as though the people of Elmsworth had found a savior in their darkest hour. However, not everyone was so easily won over by the charismatic doctor. Elizabeth Walker, her instincts sharpened by the ever-present danger, could not shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at the edges of her mind. As she watched the villagers flock to Victor, her suspicions grew. What could have possibly drawn him to such a remote, beleaguered village? And why now, when Elmsworth was on the brink of despair? In the days that followed, Elizabeth observed Victor with a keen eye, her suspicions festering like a hidden wound. The doctor's composure was unflappable, his demeanor calm and poised, even in the face of the villagers' growing fear. And yet, there was something about him that seemed to defy explanation, a darkness that lay hidden beneath his polished exterior. Chapter 3: The Shadow's Mark. Under the dim light of the waxing moon, Elizabeth Walker set out on a treacherous journey, armed with her unwavering determination and the courage to face the unknown. As she traversed the dark, silent streets of Elmsworth, the chilling wind whispered ghostly warnings in her ears, urging her to turn back. But Elizabeth refused to be swayed by her fears, driven by the need to uncover the truth behind the mysterious deaths. Guided by the flickering light of her lantern, Elizabeth visited the scenes of the gruesome tragedies, her heart heavy with sorrow for the lives that had been so cruelly snatched away. The victims had been friends, neighbors, and even distant relatives, their lives intertwined with her own in the intricate tapestry of the village. At each site, Elizabeth carefully examined the cold, lifeless ground, searching for any clue that might reveal the identity of the sinister force that haunted Elmsworth. It was then that she stumbled upon a chilling discovery. the same twisted symbol, etched into the earth or marked on a nearby surface, was present at every scene. The symbol seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, its dark tendrils reaching out to ensnare her very soul. As Elizabeth delved deeper into the mystery, her relationships with the other villagers began to evolve. Her dear friend, Amelia, offered unwavering support and a sympathetic ear, despite the ever-present danger. Meanwhile, her younger brother, Thomas, provided his keen intellect and unshakable loyalty in her pursuit of the truth. Even the village elder, a stern, reticent man named Benjamin, found himself drawn to Elizabeth's resolute spirit, offering her guidance and wisdom from his many years of experience. However, as the villagers rallied around Elizabeth, the ominous symbol continued to haunt her every waking moment. She could not shake the feeling that it was intrinsically connected to the enigmatic Dr. Victor Blackwood. With each passing day, her conviction grew, fueled by her observations of the doctor's mysterious comings and goings, and the inexplicable sense of dread that seemed to emanate from his very presence. Chapter 4: The Unraveling Past. As the first leaves of autumn began to fall, a chill settled over the village of Elmsworth. The once vibrant colors of the landscape seemed to fade, replaced by a haunting, monochromatic pallor. The villagers, once united in hope by Victor's arrival, now found themselves fragmented by fear and suspicion. Whispers of doubt spread like a malignant growth, poisoning the very air they breathed. Determined to uncover the truth about Victor, Elizabeth began a painstaking investigation into the enigmatic doctor's past. Through hushed conversations with wary travelers and merchants passing through the village, she pieced together a disturbing tapestry of deception and darkness. Tales of Victor's previous encounters were shrouded in blood and shadow, each story more sinister than the last. As she delved further into Victor's past, Elizabeth discovered that the twisted symbol, which had become a harbinger of death in Elmsworth, was not only connected to the doctor but also to a dark, ancient power that thrived on chaos and despair. It became chillingly apparent that Victor's motives were far from benevolent, driven by an insatiable hunger for control and a perverse desire to unleash the darkness that lay dormant within the hearts of men. Confronted with the horrifying truth, Elizabeth found herself at the center of a maelstrom of fear and suspicion. Desperate to protect her village, she began to share her discoveries with the other villagers, revealing the sinister nature of the man they had once hailed as a savior. As the truth spread like wildfire, the villagers' fear and suspicion turned into outright panic, leaving Elmsworth teetering on the brink of chaos. In the depths of her despair, Elizabeth realized the gravity of the situation. The village she had once loved and cherished was now a shadow of its former self, its inhabitants consumed by fear and mistrust. But it was not only Elmsworth that was at stake. She knew that if Victor's dark influence continued to spread, it would threaten to engulf the entire world in darkness. Chapter 5: A Tangled Web of Deceit. As the last remnants of autumn surrendered to the relentless grip of winter, Elizabeth found herself submerged in a tangled web of deceit, her every step dogged by the specter of death. With each passing day, the mysterious deaths continued to haunt Elmsworth, the gruesome scenes marked by the twisted symbol that had come to embody their collective nightmares. Working tirelessly and with unwavering determination, Elizabeth gathered evidence against Victor, each piece of the puzzle bringing her closer to exposing his dark secrets. She meticulously documented his every move, from his secret midnight excursions into the heart of the ancient forest to the strange, arcane rituals he performed under the cover of darkness. As Elizabeth's investigation progressed, the stakes continued to rise. It became increasingly apparent that Victor's influence was not confined to Elmsworth, but rather, his insidious reach extended far beyond the village's boundaries. The tendrils of his dark power threatened to envelop the world, leaving a trail of death and despair in their wake. The villagers, once united in their support of Elizabeth, now found their trust in her tested by the mounting fear and paranoia. Whispers of doubt echoed through the narrow, cobblestone streets, fueled by the relentless onslaught of tragedy. Some began to question Elizabeth's motives, wondering if her relentless pursuit of the truth was merely a desperate attempt to escape her own guilt. Despite the growing suspicions and the crushing weight of responsibility, Elizabeth pressed onward, her conviction unwavering. She knew that she could not falter, for the fate of her village and the lives of those she loved hung in the balance. As the shadows grew longer and the air grew colder, she steeled herself for the challenges that lay ahead, her heart a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. Chapter 6: The Confrontation. Under a starless sky, shrouded in darkness and foreboding, Elizabeth steeled herself for the confrontation that would determine the fate of Elmsworth. Her heart pounded relentlessly in her chest, a fierce, primal drumbeat echoing the urgency of her mission. As she approached Victor's lair, a decrepit, ivy-choked mansion hidden deep within the ancient forest, she knew that there could be no turning back. As Elizabeth entered the gloomy, candlelit chamber where Victor awaited her, she could feel the oppressive weight of his malevolent presence. The air was thick with tension, the silence broken only by the sinister hiss of Victor's voice, dripping with venom and deceit. "Ah, Miss Walker," he sneered, his piercing blue eyes glinting with malice. "I've been expecting you." With unwavering resolve, Elizabeth confronted Victor, exposing his connection to the mysterious deaths that had befallen Elmsworth. She brandished the evidence she had gathered, a damning testament to his dark deeds, and demanded that he answer for his crimes. Victor merely laughed, the sound a chilling cacophony of cruelty and arrogance, his eyes alight with the fire of madness. And so began an intense battle of wits, a high-stakes game of cat and mouse that would determine the fate of the village and the lives of its inhabitants. Elizabeth and Victor danced around each other, their words sharp as knives, cutting through the air with deadly precision. The chamber became a battlefield, the shadows their allies, the flickering candles their only witnesses. As the confrontation wore on, Elizabeth's keen intellect and unyielding determination proved to be formidable weapons. She expertly countered Victor's every move, exposing the flaws in his logic and the twisted depths of his malevolence. In the face of her unwavering resolve, Victor's composure began to crack, revealing the vulnerable, desperate man that lay beneath the veneer of arrogance and cruelty. With one final, desperate gambit, Elizabeth outsmarted Victor, luring him into a trap of his own making. As the walls of his lair closed in around him, Victor's screams of rage and despair echoed through the night, a chilling requiem for the monster that had once held Elmsworth in the grip of fear. Heart-pounding, Elizabeth made her escape, her breath ragged with the exhilaration of her triumph. As she emerged from the darkness of the forest, the first light of dawn broke across the horizon, heralding the beginning of a new day. The village of Elmsworth had been saved, and though the battle had been won, Elizabeth knew that the scars of their ordeal would not soon fade. But with courage and hope in her heart, she looked towards the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 7: Unmasking the Darkness. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the morning mist, casting a golden glow over the village of Elmsworth, Elizabeth stood before the gathered villagers, a living testament to the power of hope and courage in the face of adversity. With her voice steady and her gaze unwavering, she revealed the dark truth that had been concealed behind Victor's carefully crafted facade. As the harrowing tale of deceit and malevolence unfolded, the villagers listened in stunned silence, their faces a kaleidoscope of shock, disbelief, and anger. Elizabeth spoke of Victor's true identity, a man consumed by darkness, driven by a lust for power and control, and willing to sacrifice innocent lives in his pursuit of his twisted desires. With each revelation, the villagers' resolve strengthened, their fear and suspicion melting away like the morning frost. As one, they united against the darkness that had threatened to engulf them, their collective strength a beacon of hope in the darkness. No longer would they cower in fear, for they had been shown the true face of the enemy, and together, they would stand against him. As the villagers rallied behind Elizabeth, the mysterious deaths that had plagued Elmsworth were finally explained. The twisted symbol, once a harbinger of death and despair, was revealed as the key to Victor's dark power, a malignant force that had fed upon the villagers' fear and grief. But with the truth now laid bare, the symbol's power had been broken, its dark grip on the village shattered. In the aftermath of Victor's unmasking, a new dawn broke over Elmsworth, heralding the beginning of a brighter future. The villagers, once divided by fear and suspicion, now stood united, their bonds of friendship and loyalty stronger than ever before. As they began the slow, arduous process of healing, they would forever remember the courage and determination of the woman who had saved them from the darkness. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm, golden light over the village, Elizabeth Walker stood on the precipice of a new chapter in her life. The shadows of the past had been banished, and though the road ahead was uncertain, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them with the same unwavering courage and conviction that had guided her through the darkness. For in the end, it was not the darkness that defined her, but the light that she had brought into the